that really bring different aspects of us at the same time in different realities.
Right. The let me see. Um, let me feel it, and then we'll go from there. How's that?
Yeah, cool.
Right. Well, welcome to 5D Academy of Higher Consciousness. I'm your host, Zarathustra, broadcasting from Los Angeles, Venice Beach. um, nice to see you all. Welcome back. We're all here again. And so, why don't we do this? Why don't we just take a deep breath and kind of set back and fall into our state of being. Now, people call it meditation. Let me explain one thing to you is that the truth of who we are is only meditation, and the presence, consciousness, which is always here. And it's the very substratum of everything. It's not a state. So it's not like feeling good or feeling bad or going into a bliss state or going into a meditative state. Uh, it's the background of everything. The background of everything is pure silence and stillness, and it's very happy. And it doesn't come and go. And that's your background. That's who you really are. And I know you may be saying, well, I don't feel it. And the reason you don't really feel it is because you haven't really noticed or paid attention to this other part of you, because it's always here. It's not an object, so it's not something you're going to gain, and it's not something you lose. It's something that's been with you ever since you were born, or even before you were born. So there's something here. Let's look at it this way. There's something here that you cannot touch, sense, smell, or taste in any way. But it's been with you from the time you were born. Let's even keep it simple. And we're going to say from the time you were born. And this is here always. And we can call it consciousness. We can call it the presence, or any name you like. You can call it God, whatever name that it's going to work for you. But keep in mind, this is not an object. So it's a space which is permanently here. So that's like the wall behind me. That's the background. And now maybe you want to put a painting on it. Then the painting is showing like back here. Let me see. Oh, no, that way. Okay, this is better. Okay, the painting is here and the wall is there. So you can change the painting on a regular basis. You can put something else there, but the wall remains the wall. So, and it's the same thing about your true nature. So let's not let these be just words, okay? Like in non duality or in the effort into reaching fifth dimensional consciousness. Let's just not use it as words. Let's just be it as we are. So, what we're going to do is just simply, very easy, super simple. No effort, no trying to get to a place, because you're not going to get anywhere. It's here already. You're already at. Okay? So kind of maybe in your mind you want to process it for a moment, uh, which is the mind doesn't even understand it. But maybe it's just like, okay, I'm here already. Okay. All right. And I don't have to do anything to get to it. Okay. Let's say you have a check mark. And all right, okay, I'm going to trust what Zarathustra says, or I'm going to just trust this process for even 10 minutes. You don't have to sign your life on it. And because a part of you may be scared. Oh my God, I'm not sure if I can accept this for the rest of my life. Okay, don't. Just for 5 minutes. Just relax into the being here right now and just sink into it. You just pull back. This is not even an effort. If you're putting an effort in it, you're not doing it right. If you're trying to meditate, you're not doing it right. This is completely effortless without any trying. Okay? It's just simply you are here, and maybe you take a deep breath and you just relax. And you may hear a thought in your mind says, well, I'm not getting it, or maybe I never get it. Well, don't worry about it. It's just a thought. Simply just hang out here. Just hang out with me. Just hang out in here. And just know that you're already here. You're already in it. Any thoughts or emotions arises, it's arising out of here. It's arising out of who you are. What comes and goes is not who you are. You don't want to bother yourself with it. The part you're interested in is the self, it's the presence, which is here. And for that, you don't have to do anything. Just hang out. Slowly, slowly come back. You see, this was very effortless, wasn't it? Did you try anything? Did you try to meditate, or it just came to you? Or you just fell into it easily? Anybody? Yeah. Yeah. It's much, much easier in so many ways. And once you recognize that it's always here, and you kind of start letting go of a lot of the bullshit of blah, blah, blah. So you start kind of denying and whatever comes and goes, stuff that comes and goes, you just deny it. You don't hang on to any of it. And that means like 99% of all spiritual stuff that we're hanging on to and we're using it, it's useless, basically. It's just another concept. It sounds great. It excites the mind, but it's a way of postponing awakening. It's a way of postponing freedom, because it doesn't do anything for you except keeping you into the loop. And it's a spiritual masturbation. Basically, that's what it is. Spiritual masturbation. It's like you never get anywhere. And you just fall back, oh wow. Ha. Hey. Ah. It's nice seeing you guys. I you know the last Hi. You know the last time we saw each other, I was later on I asked myself, like, why didn't I get your WhatsApp phone number? And I can't to check on the girls and check you guys out to see how you're doing. So I'm so glad you're here today. Let's keep in touch, okay? Send me your email or text me uh, your info. Hi, so nice to see you. My friends from Poland. So the more you fall into, the more you recognize the space that you're already in right now. It's here. And you don't have to do anything for it. It's just here. So what's there to do? And in this recognition that it's always here, what happens is the mind becomes quiet. The mind kind of has nowhere to go. And even if it's momentarily, which, it does happen for a lot of people, um, later on, maybe you come and tell me, like, okay, when I'm with you, Zarathustra, it's very easy. Or I don't know what happens, that there's this transmission takes place, and I just go in this deep space of silence. Okay? So, and yeah, it's a very valid thing. I get it. I had the same experience with my teacher, and any great Mahatma that you come across and you sit with them, they can transmit this to you or to each other. But what happens is you're not really experiencing somebody else's presence. What they do in the presence of someone who got it is they're reflecting back to you. Okay, they become a mirror, and they're just reflecting back to you who you really are. They're reflecting back to you the truth of who you are, your true nature. So it's just like a mirror, you're looking at a mirror, and because this person is really yourself, and they're in this deep silence, or they have discovered the truth of who they are. So now they're no longer buying the story. They're not buying the world. They're not buying into the world, because they can see it. They can see it. It's not real. And because of that, so they're residing, they're just sitting, they're hanging out on their couch, cosmic couch, and they're just in this place. They don't leave this place. Why leaving your place if you're in a complete bliss, or you're in complete silence and in inner peace? Why go anywhere? Why step out of that place? Because once you step out of it, you deviate from it, so you go back into the world. You go back in the world of duality. You go back into what looks like it's real, and it's in chaos. It's in a constant state of fluke. It goes up and down and up and down and up and down. And if you really believe it, then you're going to be up and down and up and down and up and down all the time. And that's why I'm saying 99% of spiritual work is not going to do anything, because it's trying to fix your feelings. How do you feel about this? Or let's clear about your past, whatever you had in your past. Or let's cut your cords with your ancestors, and let's just heal you here, or let's heal you there. You don't need any healing. You don't really need any. All healing comes from the truth of who you are. If you recognize who you are, there's no work. You don't have to spend 5 seconds doing any kind of spiritual work, because nothing is needed to be done. You're already complete. You're already here. You're already at. Everything else is happening on the screen of who you are. It's just coming and going. Everything else is an appearance. It appears and it disappears. Same as your body. It appears and it disappears. Same as your mind. You can't even stick to the same thought for more than a few seconds, 10 seconds maybe. Try to think of the same thing. Try it right now. See if you can hold the thought. See if there is any thought you can hang on to. I mean, I have a lot of people come to me and say, oh, my mind is driving me crazy. Okay, fine. Okay, your mind's driving you crazy. Let's examine it. Let's see if it's real. And the reason that the mind is driving you crazy or driving anybody crazy is because you have never challenged it. It's never been questioned. No one, or I would say masses of humanity, they have never questioned the existence of their own mind. So when something's not being questioned and not being investigated, and you just leave it loose and let it do whatever it wants to do, of course it's going to create suffering for you. And you don't even know it. And then, and the emotions, same thing. They come and go. Try to feel happy all the time. Try to feel angry all the time. Try to feel impatient all the time. Can you hang on to the same feeling? Can you hang on to the same feeling all the time? Can you just keep it there all the time? You can't. Try it, but don't take my word. After we're done here, give it a try. Try to, because the body is more subtle, the body changes slowly. So it's not really, unless you look at it long term, but you can't just look at it moment to moment because you don't see the change. But with the mind, with the thoughts or with your emotions, you can, because they change very fast. So you can hang on to them. Okay? All right. So if you can't control them and you can hang on to them because you can't control your emotions, you can't control your thoughts, and you may think you can control your body, but that's just another illusion. But so let's say you can. Let's say you've been working on this, you're really continuously practicing to have self-control. Okay, all right, let's keep one thought in your mind and see how long it will last. First of all, you will see it's a lot of effort. You constantly have to put effort into it to hold on to your thought. And or the feeling. Continuously you have to put effort into it. And then it won't last very long. Okay, so now, then what is it that here is aware of it? Something's aware of it. Something it was aware from when you were 5 years old. There was something aware. Something knew that you were there. Right now, when you think about when you were 5 years old, it's a memory. But when you were 5 years old or you're 10 years old, you have this awareness that you are, but you don't need anybody to tell you that. You don't read any spiritual books. You're not searching, you're not looking for anything. You just simply know you are. How about when you went through puberty? Puberty is a very confusing time. It's a weird time because literally, I mean, your body's changing. You know, if you're a woman, they're like you're growing things in on your chest that they weren't there before. And yeah, we call it breast. And you know, all of a sudden something starts growing. Or if you're a guy, all of a sudden you start having hair on your face or other places in your body. And you know, if you're a woman, all of a sudden you start having your menstrual cycle. It's a weird feeling, weird space to be in. But even when you're going through this puberty, the sense of I am, the awareness of it, the mechanism which is aware of this change, it doesn't change. It's not more aware or less aware. Then you know you're going through your teenage years. Let's say you have a typical teenage year. It means you're going to high school or college, and you know what do college kids do? I mean, they go to school, yes, they're studying, but they're also partying or wanting to go to dance parties or events, or they want to drink, or they want to try cigarettes for the first time, or they want to explore drugs, or they want to explore sex, or whatever. Whatever they do, good or bad, we're not talking about that. Good experience or bad experience, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that you're still aware, there's an awareness of your activities. So you go through a number of years of doing that, let's say 5 years, 4 years. Let's say from age 14, 15, 16 to 22, 23. You've done your, then you want to go travel a little bit. Back in the day, you would get married, but now people don't. But let's say you were around 28, 29, 30 years old. Okay. And then, you know, everyone's pointing out to you is, okay, when do you want to think about your future? When do you want to think about settling down? When do you want to just either get married or get a job? Aren't you tired of acting like a teenager? Don't we say this to the kids, or didn't you hear this from your parents? Isn't that the general mentality? You're 29 years old, you can't behave like a 15-year-old. You have to behave differently because certain behaviors are not tolerable. Your family doesn't tolerate it. Society doesn't tolerate it. So your behavior has to change according to where you're at. So now maybe you get married, or now maybe you get a career and you start working somewhere and you're building up a business. Okay? Fair enough so far? Are we in? Okay. Now, are you less aware or more aware? You're still aware that you're 28 years old or 30 years old, you are getting married, you're having your first child, or you're having your first job, or both. So now you're having your second kid, you're 38, 39 years old, and you just had a child. Are you less aware or more aware? Are you aware you're pregnant, or you're not aware you're pregnant? You're aware you're pregnant. You're giving childbirth. Aren't you aware of it? So you go forward. You're 40 something years old. And you know, slowly the body starts malfunctioning. And you're getting this weird stuff on your skin, or you have this tumor, or something has happened. And you have your first surgery. Are you aware of it or not? So it just goes forward. You can never not be aware. Now, we're saying like this is unconscious world, and people are very, the mainstream people who are not doing any spiritual work, they're very unconscious. Yes, we're saying these things. From our point of view, they're unconscious. They're robots. But the fact that whether you're doing work on yourself or you don't do work on yourself, whether you know, you don't give a shit about spirituality, okay? To you, the physical world is the only world that exists. Okay, fine. But does that, aren't you still aware? Aren't you aware of your body? Aren't you aware of the temperature of the air? Aren't you aware if you're cold or you're hot? Aren't you aware that you're hungry or not? Aren't you aware if you're sad or you're happy? The awareness remains the awareness. The awareness never goes away. Now, what happens is as you become more conscious, you're doing the work. The veil of the consciousness, the veil of the self, the presence, it starts opening the veil. So you start to get a glimpse of the truth of who you are. You start seeing yourself. You're getting a glimpse of yourself outside of the physical part of you, outside of what you think or what you feel. Because the three, your body, your mind, your emotions, those three, they're changing all the time. So you cannot be them. Because even right now, if I ask you, are you the same person you were 10 years ago? You, in a way, you say yes. In a way, you say no. I mean, yes, of course, you are the same identity as you were 10 years ago. You didn't, you didn't grow wings all of a sudden or grow a horn, and you didn't all of a sudden develop capability of flying in the sky and hunting for food, or you didn't suddenly develop some abilities to dive under the water for 5 days like a dolphin or a shark. Of course, your identity as a human being remains the same, but are you that person you were 10 years ago? And when you look back, you say no. I mean, your desires change, you look different, your financial situation changed, your body has changed, your status has changed. Maybe 10 years ago you didn't have children, now you have kids. Maybe 10 years ago you didn't have a house, now you have a house, or you have a partner. Or maybe 10 years ago you had a lot of things and now you lost them all. Or maybe 10 years ago you had great health and now you're disabled. Or 10 years ago you had bad health, now you're healthy. So you changed. But who's aware of that change? Who is recording it? To whom did that change come? To you, to the I, to the I am. The changes come and go. So why don't we examine this? Why don't we just give this a try? Because we've tried everything else. We've been trying different things. We've been reading a lot of spiritual books. We've been going to a lot of talks from different people, going to conferences, to seminars. We're going to workshops. We're working on ourselves. And then you have access to the Library of Alexandria. means your laptop, your computer, your phone. You can open it up and you can Google. And almost immediately you can listen to any teacher on this planet and see what they're teaching. That's free. You don't even have to travel. You don't have to spend money. And you can listen to other teachers around the world. So the self mechanism system, at one point that the veil opens up and the self revealing itself to itself, and so some kind of awakening starts to happen and you start to search. You're searching. The question comes like, who am I? Who am I really? Or where was I before I was born? Where was I before I was born? I don't remember. And where am I going to go after I die? What's going to happen? And of course, if you talk to a religious person or you go to religion, I mean, there's stories about it. Or you go to some teachers or gurus, or there's like a million different concepts of your origin, that you came from another planet, or you're a star seed, or your origin is somewhere else, or this is what's going to happen after you die. There's a lot of books and a lot of concepts that after you die, where you're going to go and what's going to happen to you, and if you're going to reincarnate, and blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of stories, right? I mean, take your pick, choose whatever it sits with you, and you can just go with that one. Whatever sits with you. But it's still a story. But what is it always here? What is it that it remains here? What is it that has always been here? You are always here. You are always here. If you reject, okay, maybe it's difficult. Maybe it's like, okay, I really, Zarathustra, I can't really feel it. I can't really get it. Okay, well, can you get rid of what you're not? Maybe you can't get what you are, but can you get rid of the stuff you're not? So, and you may say, well, how do I get rid of the stuff that I'm not? Okay, help me with that. Okay, I like to help you with that. Okay, so the first thing is that anything, or anything that comes and goes, you if you just adapt this mentality even for a day or two, but if you really want freedom, then this has to be the core of your work, is that view anything that comes and goes, anything is not real, and look for that which never comes and goes. What is it that is always here, and you consider that as the real because it doesn't come and go? Okay, and you may just have a hard time with that. Okay, then reject anything that comes and goes. If you can focus on that which is always here, which your own self, and you may say, well, I can't really feel it. Okay, let's get rid of anything that comes and goes, and then see what's left. Reject. any concept or ideas that comes and goes. Don't think, just hang out. And suddenly it just, it's like it explodes in front of you. The reality that you're always swimming in it and it's always here. That you really don't have to do any kind of spiritual work. You don't have to do anything. It's always here, and you are that. And all these other concepts that come in your mind, or people tell you that you need to be vegetarian in order to get to God, or you need to give up sex, or you can't smoke, or you can't drink, or you have to be dressed like this or dressed like that, or go in a cave in an ashram in order to come to God. It's all bullshit. It's not true. It's just false information. None of it is true. It's just false. And you may come and say, well, how could that be? Because they've written books about it, or I don't care what they've done for it. It's not doing anything for you. What has it done for you? Because if it was going to do anything for you, you wouldn't be suffering. You would be happy all the time. But how come you follow these instructions and you're miserable and you're up and down all the time, or you suffer? I'm not talking to any of you personally, okay? Don't I hope you don't take me wrong. You, I'm talking about you. But if you just simply hang out here and kind of bypass the mind, and then you can feel the presence, the vastness of the being that you are. Everything else is false. Do you have any questions for me?
I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah. Um, if we explore this vastness and this quietness, the freedom, uh, it's a very stupid question maybe, but how can we connect this to our life? I mean, anyway, we are unhappy because we are unemployed or we have problem with the partner or whatever. That means we discover in one side something, but how can we transfer that to our lives? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you understand it?
To a certain point.
Mm.
It's not a thing that you have to connect it to your life. So this is not a separate thing that once you understand this, you're going to connect it somewhere to the life so it works for you. It becomes your way of being. So everything else needs to adjust itself to your way of being, to your understanding. So you don't do anything.
You mean it comes automatically?
It comes exactly the more you relax into the being, okay? The
Your
more
life changes.
it has to. It has to. The change can be in a very subtle way, but it cannot be the same ever again because you're seeing through the BS. You're seeing through the BS. What I'm saying is you're starting to see that objects, whatever you see in the world, and whatever you think, whatever you feel is an object. And all of it requires a subject and an object. You cannot feel happy or sense happiness if there was no human body. And a situation, a condition that appears that brings you happiness or brings you sadness. Both of them require an object and a subject or any kind of experience. So, in order to experience something, you need this duality. But the awareness is here, the awareness doesn't change. So, let's say something happened. Let me use something more abstract, something more like tangible so we can understand it. So let's say something happened to you, okay? And let's say you become unemployed, or or I don't know, you have an experience, you fell in love with someone, or somebody hurt you. Somebody did something to hurt you, okay? So that's an experience. You're experiencing either pain or pleasure, okay? So can we for a moment do that? Let's just examine it for one moment. That just 1 second. I need to get a little bit of water. Just one moment, please. Right. So let's um, let's do that. Can you go into that experience? Something happened, whichever you want, pain or pleasure. Can you think of one of the experiences you had in past year of painful or pain or pleasure? Can you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If it's not now, if it's not a current experience, past experience, right? So when an experience of pain or pleasure is happening to you, aren't you aware of it?
Yes, I am aware.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that awareness changes if something painful happened to you or if something pleasure happens to you? Pleasurable.
Both,
Yeah.
it's always there.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Now shift your attention from the experience, okay? Rather than being focused on the experience, shift your attention to awareness and see if anything changed.
I don't think so. Nothing changed.
Nothing changes. The awareness, it remains the awareness. There is still some. Okay, let me put this back on. Sorry. There's a mechanism, there's a body and mind instrument called Anita. Okay? There's someone called Anita. It's the instrument of experience. Because all experiences in life happens to Anita. You're the one who's experiencing them, whether they're pleasurable or painful. Correct? Your life, it's all has happened to you, correct? It didn't happen to your neighbor, it happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you examine it, okay, even if it's, if you examine it, you'll see that awareness is always remains awareness. And if it's difficult for you to go in the past, you can start from today on. See that if something happened to you, painful or pleasurable, whether you're aware of it or not. And you will see that awareness, your ability to be aware, remains the same ability as before. It doesn't get more, it doesn't get less. Stick to that. Bring your attention, instead of thinking that you're Anita, a woman, bring your attention to that your awareness. You are aware of the life of a woman named Anita, and you're aware of it. You're aware of all her stories. But the awareness, that which is aware, is not going to be less aware or more aware. It's always fresh. It's always 100% intact. It's always shining. It never changes. And if you identify with that instead of this, you shift your attention, then slowly, you begin to see that everything else comes and goes. Because now your attention is on that which doesn't change. So the stuff that come and go, they lose their reality, they lose their substance, they lose their power on you. They're not, they get weakened. They become weak.
That means I won't be emotionally influenced so much, or
no. We're not learning here to master our emotions. We're not learning that. That you go to Tony Robbins, okay, or Joe Dispenza or other teachers. They're much better. They're way more qualified and they're experts in teaching you these things. No, you're not going to learn to master your emotions. You're simply aware of them and not identified with them, but you feel them. If something happens to me and whatever it is, let's say I'm dating someone and she breaks up with me. Okay? I'm using myself. Okay? I'm seeing someone and she one day comes and tells me, I'm not interested to be with you anymore. I want to be with someone else. Is that fair enough? Does that happen in life? All the time. Yeah. So, and pain comes. I'm going to feel it. Just like I was feeling it, or maybe feel it more than ever before. The feeling of being rejected, the feeling of pain. But there's no illusion that that's who I am. I'm the experiencer of it. I have to experience the pain, and it's fine. And you experience it. But am I the pain?
I understand this, what you
Right.
mean.
Yeah, exactly.
We told this many times, but it's very difficult to understand it really. I mean,
Well, you and I have not done a training program together. So if you're ever ready, I can work with you on a one-on-one basis, and I can walk you through it, because for some people they really need coaching, and I understand. Like, I wished I had access to this 10 years, 20 years ago. I wish I could be one-on-one with Papaji, or somebody who really got it. And I mean, everything exactly happened the way it happened. Obviously it was meant to be like this, but I wish I had someone holding my hand, or at least I could spend some time with them and get this really the points. But it took 30 years to understand it, even though I had heard it before, but it wasn't clicking. So, okay, I'm going to give you a pointer, is that what you want to do is with your emotions is one way. Again, this, I'm going to share it with you. I don't know if you're able to do it or not do it, or how it's going to work for you. But i'm I'm not holding anything back. I always share everything with everyone. It's simply, when something comes up for you, if anger comes, or sadness comes, or you wake up in the morning, you feel depressed for whatever reason, you want to get into a habit of acknowledging your feeling. You want to get into a habit that sadness is here, sadness is visiting me, instead of claiming it as who you are. So it's a bit of a training program of restructuring things. It takes a little bit of time, because all our lives, let's say, whatever, 40 years old, 50 years old, whatever age you are, is all of these years, it's been a one-dimensional way of dealing with things. That I am my emotion, of really this deep belief that whatever you're feeling is who you are. So to break through that and switching out of it overnight, it's very, very difficult. To shift from completely identifying with whatever emotion you have, and especially in today's time, which in a way it's more difficult than ever before, I believe, today, because of all these teachings and access to all these other people and everybody. The moment you say like, "Oh, I'm really sad," all of a sudden three of your girlfriends will get together, or five of your girlfriends come together. "Oh, honey, just okay. Tell me about how do you feel?" and and they're just adding fuel to the fire of working on your emotion, as if there's something wrong to feel bad, to feel sad, or there's something wrong to feel angry, there's something wrong to feel alone, and it needs to be worked on. There's nothing wrong with any of these emotions. That's your job. You came on this planet, or any of us who are here, is to experience these emotions. And that's God's way of experiencing them, because there's no other way for consciousness to experience emotions unless it's got an object and subject situation. It's got to be a form. But understanding means that you realize that you're the awareness of of these feelings. You're simply aware of them, and you're experiencing them when they're there, because there's nothing else you can do. You cannot not experience them. It's impossible. But you don't have to be them. You can just be aware of them. They're there. They come and go. So if you shift your attention, you're simply aware of all these emotions arising and falling, arising and falling. But you're not them. You're aware of them, and you experience them when you're there, but you're not the emotion. And that takes a little bit time, and takes in some for some people it takes a bit of coaching, just like anything in life. It takes a little bit of someone to point finger at it. Hey, watch out for this. Careful, not fall into this ditch. Don't fall into that hole. Go around it. And it,
Yes, thank you
oh,
very much.
you're welcome. My pleasure. I'm happy to help you. Um, Anybody? Any other questions? Any comments?
Yeah, thank you, because you told us so many times, but right now it really clicked,
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's look at it this way. Let me give you another example. Like, let's say the awakening takes place, and you have realized the space. You realize who you are. You realize this. But does your body mind changes? Is if you feel impatient, and are you okay? For example, I mean, you want to go to the airport, or you have a train to take, right? I remember like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I had to be arrived to the airport at the last minute, because I had this belief like being in the airport is a waste of time, and I didn't want to waste my time getting to the airport. So I rather stayed home, and then I would always get to the airport late. And now you're stressing to go to the security and to get to the plane, and there's always a chance that you miss your flight, or you miss your flight. Now it's a different story. I don't like to get to the airport late. I like to get there even Okay, they say get there 2 hours before the flight, international flight. I get there 3 hours before the international flight because it's like, okay, what difference does it make if I'm spending another extra hour at home, or I get to the airport and I'm relaxed, and you know, finally I find wherever I have to go. I check in my bags, and okay, let's say I have an extra hour. I can always open up a book and read it, or I can just post something on Instagram, or take care of some work I have to do, or listen to some sports or a video or a movie or whatever I want to do. It gives me a chance to do my things. And all right, so now if I'm late, what happens, not late, or if I'm on the edge, I start getting really nervous. I don't like it. Do I ever get late to get to the airport? Yes, it happens. Things happen, it's out of my control. And and so if I'm late, do I get nervous? Yes, I get nervous. All right, what does this mean? That Zarathustra, you're getting nervous because you're getting to the airport late. Okay, that means I'm not conscious, I'm not aware. Is that an indication of not being awake? Is that, if we want to measure awakening, if we want to measure your level of awareness based on your mechanism of your body and your mind, your emotions, how you react, how your body reacts to things, then we're in deep sleep. If that's what we're going to be using as a measurement stick, like, okay, this is a spiritual teacher, this is a healer, all right. Oh, but he just got sick, he got a cold. Oh, didn't he had a cold like 2 weeks ago? Yeah, he had a cold 2 weeks ago, he got sick again. All right, then he's not a good healer, or this guy is has no awareness because he catches a cold, he gets sick. They have nothing to do with each other. Your nervous system is designed in a certain way. It's it's your DNA, it's your genetics. It's like that's, or and also your conditioning, depending on how you were brought up and where you were brought up. If if you grew up in a war zone, okay, let's say you're growing up right now in Syria or some country that it's at war and bombs falling down, let's say in Ukraine, and you're 5 years old or 7 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, and you're growing up in Ukraine and there's bomb falling down, that's going to affect your nervous system for the rest of your life. And so you get conditioned over certain noises or certain things happening. It's going to affect you, but that doesn't mean you cannot be awakened. You can come to full realization, but your nervous system doesn't go to realization. The body doesn't awaken. It's your awareness that shifts. Your consciousness is, you have come to the truth of who you are. But that doesn't mean that transform your body or transform your mind or your emotions. They have nothing to do with each other. Um, it was, I don't know, a month ago, or I don't know where I was, in one of my places, and this girl came to me and she said, "I don't understand, Zarathustra. I see you saying these things. When I sit with you, there's this powerful peace comes, and when you're giving satsang or you're giving talks or your workshop, there's this really, I go into these spaces, but then off of work, I see you were sitting somewhere in a patio, you were smoking a cigarette, or you like to have, you like to have a drink, and I don't understand." I go, "What part of it you don't understand?" So, "Well, if you're awakened, why do you smoke cigarettes, or why do you drink alcohol?" I go, "Why not? Why shouldn't I? What does that have to do with the other one?" And which is, it's the general idea. This is the false understanding, this is the ignorance, is mixing the two together. The presence, the coming to this understanding, coming to this shift, to this realization, that shifting, like your understanding shift, your vision, the way you identify to who you are shifts. A shift happens. In this shift, you realize who you are. You realize you are awareness, your consciousness. It's always here. You realize you're the presence. I'm using different words. And in this realization, what happens is all of a sudden you're no longer perceiving yourself as the thoughts that come and go. You're no longer your emotions. And you certainly realize you're not this body. And in this understanding, you realize that what you are is always here. It doesn't come, it doesn't go. But that doesn't have anything to do with what your body and your mind likes to do. The body and the mind are going to do their own thing. So if you're a person who's into eating leaves and you just like always eating vegetables and you have no desire for fish or chicken or meat, you'll be that person. Or if you were a meat eater and that's how your body likes, and you go through awakening, 99.99%, you're still going to continue on the habit of what you eat. That doesn't change because they have nothing to do with each other. The rest is concepts, is being a prisoner of these concepts, of thinking, awakening, realization means ideas, these concepts that we have, that you have to be purist. Otherwise, you cannot be awake. That's a trap. You're in ignorance. And that's going to continue making you suffer, because anything is outside of that makes you suffer. You're not free. The presence is always here, and you are that. Regardless of your color of your skin, regardless of your hairstyle, regardless of what country you're from, what kind of behavior you have, what religion you practiced, whether you were a good person or you're an asshole, none of it has anything to do with it. With the realization of that you are that you are this. Once you recognize it, you are always that, and it's not reversible. You're always that. You're always this. It's always here. There's nothing you need to do for it. There's nowhere you need to go. Nothing you need to change. Yet change will happen. Your eating habits will change eventually in life as your digestion changes. Your nervous system will change as you are changing. Certain behaviors you will not continue doing, not because you awaken, just because that's just the way life is. Those of you who are a bit older, did you eat the same way you eat 10 years ago as you're eating now? Or are you, some things you're doing now you weren't doing before? Some things you could not imagine doing 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Some of you who living in a country, maybe 10 years ago lived in a city. And now you may say, there's no way I can live in a city. I can't stand it. And then when you lived in a city, there was no way you could live in a country because you would be bored. It was like there wasn't enough action for you there. But you didn't have to go through awakening for these changes to take place. So just be free and easy on yourself. Don't sit down and beat yourself up that you have to be in a certain way and do certain things in order to become free and awakened. Because that's another idea, it's a concept. It just takes you away from who you are. That which you're looking for is already here. It's just a recognition of it. And it will reveal itself. It's just a matter of time. It will reveal itself to itself. That's its nature. Not for everybody on the planet, because then the game is over, because it's not supposed to awaken masses, because then it's not going to be able to experience the drama of life. So even the idea of trying to awaken the world is ignorance. There's nothing wrong with the world. There's nothing to change in the world. The world is exactly the way God is dreaming it, with all its screwed up stuff, all the bad things and good things is happening. This is exactly how the dreamer is dreaming it. You just wake up out of that and you realize none of it is real. Yet it's perfect. You just take the stress off of yourself. Don't push it so hard. Just relax into it. Just pull back and just hang out in here. It's here. What you're looking for, it's already here. So don't try so hard. Just drop it. Just relax. Okay. Well, nice seeing you all. I think our next, I'm going back to Tulum on most probably on Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday. Looking forward to going back home. It's been a long haul. I don't know. It's almost been 2 months, but it feels like I've been on the road for a year, and yeah, it's been one of those journeys. Feel like kind of time stretched. So part of me is really looking forward to go back, and so we will have the academy next Wednesday. Um, Also, I wanted to tell you, I don't know if anybody's here from Toronto or Canada. I'm going to Toronto on July 5th, and I have a series of events starting with a private event at Shadi's house, and then we're doing the Boomi Fest. It's I'm doing 3 events at Boomi Fest, and then I have 2 free satsangs in Toronto, and one shamanic healing event, and a third eye activation, and followed by a workshop. Uh, so if you go to my website, Zarathustra.tv, and click of event calendar, and you can see what's going on there and where I'm going to be, what I'm doing, as well as you can email me info@zarathustra.tv, and also my social media pages are Zarathustra5D. So if you want to send me a message, feel free, info@zarathustra.tv, and I'll be more than happy to contact you. It's better if you email me, because there's a lot of platforms and it's easy to um, miss a message when they're on different platforms. Uh, but if you send me an email, that's the easiest way for me to get back to you. Just hang in there and don't push it too hard. Just know that you can't do wrong. You're already here, and that which you're looking for is already within yourself. It's right here. And of course, the next question comes that why don't I feel it? And just know that's a thought. It's just a thought. And if you hang in there, that grip, because something's it's like it's grabbing you. Something, the reality of this world, it's going to take time for it to fade away. Once you start to come to this understanding, once you start to shift, and you're bringing your attention on awareness, that which is aware of these things, it takes time. You have to just be patient because of your conditioning. Our conditioning of the world is very real. Your emotions are very real. Everything that happens seems very real. But if you're patient and you stick to your practice, you stick to your teacher, whomever it is, whomever is teaching you and you're learning from, and it's the same message, if you stick to it, then this reality that looks very real and very harsh and vicious begins to fade. It starts to lose its grip, and it starts loosen up, and you start to see through things. You start to see like, oh my God, it's not real. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. This is not real. You start seeing that in this world, in this life. Just like the way you're seeing things as real, you start seeing things as not being real. You begin to understand it. So they don't scare you anymore. Somebody will come and tell you, oh, wow, you know what? China is going to attack Taiwan. Third world is going to happen, blah, 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 because that's their job. Their job is to activate your mind, the media. And you're just sitting there. Oh, yeah? Oh, okay. Everybody in a room is freaking out. Your friends calling you, the news. You're just sitting there and you're just like, oh, okay. All right. You're just like indifferent. And somehow you see it will resolve itself and nothing happens. The world is not going to end. A drama, it will create a drama. It always does. It creates a drama, a crisis, and then it solves it. Because life continues. Life does not want to stop. It's going to continue. And you're also taken care of. You will be taken care of. You're not going to be left out. Because the same one who creates the drama is the same one created you. And the same one created your issues and your needs is responsible to feed you and take care of your needs. It's itself. It's taking care of itself all the time. There is no one else. It's only one. There's a sense that there is separation, but that's also false. It's not real. There is no separation. It only appears to be that way. Look forward to seeing you next week. God bless.
Recordings.
Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next week.